Hey everybody, it's Mark Meyer here, and I want to talk to you about Twitter. Like you haven't read enough about Twitter, or you haven't written enough about Twitter, but I got some thoughts about it that I want to see what you think about. And it all revolves around how we um, decide whether we're going to follow somebody or whether somebody's going to decide to follow us. What's that process? And because I have some thoughts about it, and I want to see what you think. So here's my theory. Let's say that okay, you decided to uh, join Twitter because you heard that it's this next big thing, the big shiny thing that you've heard some buzz about. Um, but let's think about the space that you're in, okay, and how you're going to use that. You're going to use Twitter to um, drive more business or learn more. Okay, so here's how I use Twitter, but I want to see if this makes sense to you. So I get, or I'm starting to get about 10 to 15 new requests every day. Okay, and the weird thing about some of the requests are that they're people that aren't necessarily in my space. So that's the first head scratcher. Okay, so here's what I do when I get that request. First thing I do is I check to see um, how many people they're following. So it could be a large number. It could be 1,000. Okay, so the next thing that I check is to see how many people are following them. Okay, so it could be a number like that. And then the next thing that I check is how many tweets they have. So it could be a number like that. And then um, the next thing I do is I check the types of tweets that they have. What are the quality? And some interesting things usually have a tendency to surface after I check the tweets. And I know you'll agree with this. Is that if there is a big disparity between all these numbers, sometimes this number, the number of tweets, will always correlate into the type of tweets. It could be every one of the tweets could be self-serving, and I got a big problem with that. If I'm looking at somebody's tweets and they're all trying to drive me to their site, then I don't want to have anything to do with them. Okay, so this type of person I don't want to have anything to do with on Twitter. If it's somebody where it's a number like they're following 40, they have 40 followers, and they have 150 tweets, and they're in my space, they're relevant to what I do on a day-to-day basis, and they're just getting started, and that's what you can tell from these type of numbers, then I'm going to follow that type of person. If it's a person that has 2,000 followers, they're following 2,000, and they've tweeted 5,000 times, and they're on the fringe of my space, maybe I'm going to follow them. It all depends on their background, and I know that the bio is a big factor in whether somebody decides to follow somebody or not. Because I'm not going to follow somebody um, that knits for a living. It just doesn't make sense. So with that being said, then chances are there'll always be a little bit of a disparity between the number of people that are following me, which will be high, versus the number of people that I follow, which might be a little bit less. So it won't be one to one. Ideally, in a perfect world, maybe it would be, but I can't follow everybody, and for the life of me, I don't understand how guys like Scoble and Brogan and whatnot. There's a ton of them where they have 55,000 followers, 25,000 followers. They really have to be selective about what they tweet and what they expect from others. It almost has to be a direct. So with that being said, going forward, people need to understand the unwritten rules of Twitter, and one of them is, I just don't think Twitter needs to be the self-serving, I want to drive traffic to my business type of tool, though some people think it's like that. But if you want to share information, if you want to, use your community to help you in ways other than driving traffic to your site, then I think there's nothing better out there. You just need to look at the numbers and understand where people are coming from when you see those numbers. With that, I think you'll have a better Twitter experience. But always look at the type of tweets that they have. Number one, because that'll tell you a lot about the type of person. Number two, obviously, I'm big on a person's bio. You have something there. And number three, if you're following, if you really expect to use Twitter to its fullest, if you're following 1,700 people and you only have 40 followers or whatever, you got a problem there, and then you're not getting half of what you think you should be getting out of Twitter. With that being said, what do you think? Am I dead on? Am I off? Let me know. Hit me back on the blog or tweet me, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody.